Hello and welcome to Scott Bryant's Fitness Systems. Thank you for clicking on the video. And this video is all about how to gain 18-inch arms. Now, back in the day, my arms used to be about 15 inches when I first started getting into training seriously when I was about 18, 19, and then they went up to 16. And then I got them to 17 and couldn't really get them up any bigger beyond 17 inches. But my weight went from 13 to 12 to 14, and 14 was the heaviest I've ever been. I've been 15 stone when I was a doorman of nightclubs and bars in central London. So after doing that and become a personal fitness trainer in 1998, about that time, I started helping people with their diet and lifestyle before personal training got big, and then I become qualified in 99-2000 time. So after becoming a PT, I started to learn and read as much as I could. But during the pandemic, I got quite sick, not through COVID, but through what was going on. And I dropped a lot of weight and I went down to 11 stone. So on the body mass index for a 5'11" guy, 11 stone, that's healthy, that's normal. But I didn't like it. It was horrible. I didn't feel strong. My muscle tone went. I didn't feel good. So I decided to build myself up again from 11 stone right up to about 15 and a half I am at the moment, 15 and a half stone, which is just under 100 kilos, I think. So I decided to build myself back up again. And how I did it, because I couldn't do much of weight, wasn't lifting any weight at all, I used this book that I learned from Paul Chek called The Complete System of Self-Healing of Internal Exercises. Because internally I didn't feel right, okay? So I started reading that book again. I read it back in, 2005, 2008? Yeah, 2005. When I done HLC, Holistic Lifestyle Coaching with Paul in San Diego, California, he recommended this book and he recommended part 2 as well. And I've got that in my collection. And funny enough, that book come out when I was born, February 1971. So I thought it was great that the book was 50 years old at that time, and started using the techniques, and slowly but surely over the weeks I felt better and better and better. I couldn't even walk down the road without getting puffed out or having a panic attack and feeling like crap. So I started my supplement regime, and then I had this book that I had for years that I hadn't read for a long while, Charles Poliquin's German Body Comp program. And I was like, let's see if this stuff really works. And I understand the philosophy of muscle has memory. So the muscle, even if you've been a big guy once before, you can be a big guy again. No matter the injury or the illness, as long as it's not basically killing you. Does that make sense? So I decided to slowly get into my training. And because my arms were the max were always 17 inches, I decided I wanted to get them up to 18 inches. So then, after reading the German Body Comp book fully about 3 times, I realised that maybe my program design for gaining arm size wasn't right. And maybe my supplementation wasn't as good as it could be. So in the book, Charles recommends that you take 20 grams of BCAAs. Now, I googled BCAAs, and some of the reports on Google were saying that it helps with recovery, it can increase strength a little bit, it can really help you overall with recovery, but didn't say anything about gaining muscle size. But in Charles's book, he says that you can gain up to 7 or 8 pounds of muscle. So I thought, right, if I could gain that on my arms and all over the body, I'll be a happy chappy. So because the gyms weren't open, I was training at home. So I bought some extra weights and bought some club bells and dumbbells. I already had a body blade, already had a Swiss ball. So I started working out, and I started taking BCAAs and taking one protein supplement, which I've never believed in before. Then I started taking creatine as well. Started lifting 4 days a week. And started incorporating more tempo training. So on the concentric, I'll be going up in 1. Econcentric, I'll be going down for 4 or 5. And because I've got a training age of over 30 years, my body can withstand that and not get injured. Whereas if you've got a training age of less than 5, you should never do econcentric training. You can do concentric, but not econcentric where you're coming down slowly, because you can rip, tear and damage the muscle. So it's really important that you understand that. So while I was doing this concentric and econcentric slower training, I decided to try the German body comp where you do 25, 12 or 6 reps per set and never going over 32 sets in one exercise workout, and always doing a push or a pull. So if I was doing a push, it would be squats, chest press, shoulder press, tricep, skull crushers, say for argument's sake. That would be the pull, the push, sorry. And the pull would be a deadlift, a bent over row, a cable pull, and bicep curls. But sometimes in my workouts, I don't know if you get this, but you comment down below, I get my second wind near the end of the workout. So normally my workouts are only 45 minutes, if not less, because I'm doing my stretches, my mobilizing and all that. So when I get that second wind, I may put more into the tricep and the bicep because I want arm growth. Does that make sense? And it worked. Now being 15.5 stone, I'm going to try and come down a little bit in weight. So I'm intermittent fasting every day or every other day to get the growth hormone up. Because if you fast, growth hormone has been shown by the scientists, it can go up by 2,000%. So I'm trying that method. And I believe the Herberman and the different scientists on YouTube now, I will listen to some of what they say, try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, I'll bin it. Does that make sense? So gaining huge arms, you need to gain body weight. And if you read the book Beyond Brawn, that can help you understand that if you want to do a maximum deadlift, you've got to go up in body weight. Very rarely will you be very light and natural and do a mega deadlift. So there's guys on YouTube and TikTok and they're like 16, 17 and they're doing 180 kilo deadlift, but it's not natural. No way is that natural. Or if I'm wrong and they've got a brilliant coach that knows how to teach them how to do it, and maybe they're only doing that one exercise and they're leaving the gym. So Eddie Hall, Dorian Yates and other bodybuilders, even Tom Platz. Tom Platz would only train, he had the biggest legs in bodybuilding, he would only train his legs once a month to get the gargantuan size that he had. And then you got Dorian Yates would do a 4-day split where he'd only train 4 days a week, but he would train extremely hard. So really, I believe that training 5-6 days a week, which one of my mates is training 6 days a week, is stopping growth. It's stopping the result from coming. Does that make sense? You got to remember you're a human being. You're not a machine. You want to be a machine, like Terminator, but because you're a human being, you need to look at your body in a different way. And Herberman is now saying 6 hours is the max amount of sleep that the body needs, scientifically, but you might be a night owl person. I believe that if you was born in the night and not born in the morning, that may affect the way your circadian rhythm works. Does that make sense? The same as if you was born in a country that's more dark like Norway and less light like England, that will affect your sleep and awake cycle, in my opinion. This is just me looking at it from a layman, not scientific way. Does that make sense? And if you look at most of the scientific tests that they do, they're on lab rats or monkeys. They're not done on humans. So how can you relate to these studies? Does that make sense? The same as I would go to Tom Platz to get bigger legs because he had massive legs in bodybuilding. I wouldn't go up to a guy that's got wimpy, skinny arms and he's telling me how to get 18-inch arms. Does that make sense? But where it can get confusing, there's one famous hairdresser that's bald like me, but he's skillful with his hands and getting the hair to look a certain way. So it's not always true to go by, oh, he's got big legs, so I want big legs. Does that make sense? So an old friend of mine, he had massive legs. We're both the same height, both the same weight, but I had more muscle than him. He had bigger legs than me, but I had bigger arms than him. And no matter how much he trained his arms, he couldn't get them bigger. So it is about genetics as well. So if you've got genetics and you want to get bigger arms and you've been training for longer than 5 years, go up for one.